Meet sailing yacht Avanti and her crew, Gerard and Jacqueline. We left Cape Town in December 2021 on our floating home, heading west on an adventure of a lifetime around the world.
We're currently in Coco's Keeling and we're getting ready to almost leave, so I'm just starting to do my regular checks. I normally just check the engine for oil and coolant and all of those things, but the last few times we've actually started the engine, the starter has sounded a bit sluggish to me. So I suspect our starter battery is starting to go. It is about 4 years old and it was standing quite a long time just after we bought it. So I think we're going to have to get a starter battery and we're not in the best places to get it. We just stopped at the hardware on Home Island in the hope that they have some batteries, but nothing here. But at least they did say that they should have on West Island. And we're just in time to catch the ferry. It's a 20-minute ferry ride for only $2.50 per person per way, with the bus waiting for you on the other side and takes you to the main town for only 50 cents per person. West Island is the largest island of the atoll, but only about 120 people live here, mostly Australian expats.
The bus driver dropped us off at Coco's Autos, where the hardware store suggested we go. Sadly, the door was locked and someone suggested that he was out fishing. As we were leaving, the bus driver actually came back to check on us and told us of another guy where we can go try. And we headed to their home across the road from the airfield.
First time we see a school right across from an open runway. Once we found their house, Jill drove us to where Jeff was working, and it turned out that he had one marine starter battery in his shipping container that was for sale. 480 Australian dollars later, we had a new battery, and although expensive, we were really grateful that we could buy this one from them and that Jill was so kind to drive us around.
We left the battery next to the road and walked around a bit. West Island can accommodate 100 tourists. Where exactly, we're not so sure, but we did find the one club that's the only place where one can purchase alcoholic drinks, that only opens at 5 daily for a couple of hours a day. One restaurant at Arrivals and Departures Lounge at the airport is only open on the flight days, but we did find lunch at a canteen-style restaurant called Tropicana that had 3 meal options and a self-service tea and coffee.
2 hours later, it was time to head back with the ferry with all the school kids and cross the lagoon to Home Island, where Blasoppie will take us back to Avanti. All in all, we were very lucky to find the last battery with the right capacity, and we were able to find an ATM that had enough cash for us to pay for it. Now we cross our fingers and toes that it fits in the available space. Old battery out, and hopefully the new one just slips in. It is a little bit bigger, but we'll see if it fits. Just slip the new one in and it does fit. It is a little bit higher, but there should still be clearance above the boards that cover it.
We had some really beautiful days here before the wind picked up and blew over 25 knots for a couple of days, bringing lots of rain before the sun came back out and things went back to normal. Tomorrow we set sail for the British Indian Ocean territories.
So we cleaned the hull this afternoon and then we went for a long snorkel, and afterwards it felt like there was like water stuck in my ear, so I tried to get it out by just hopping on my one leg or whatever, but it didn't come out. And as soon as we got into bed, it felt like the water was running out of my ear, but then I couldn't see like any drops on the pillow, and Jackie was thinking I was just pretending. So it happened again, and then I switched on the light, and there was a little small crab that was on the sheets. So we've seen this on somebody else's YouTube video actually, when they cleaned the hole. One of the small little crabs went into their ear. So yeah, I normally do it with earplugs, but the water's so clean here that I didn't bother with earplugs. So the crab climbed into my ear, and luckily it came out. Yeah, it was just not water. We're about to weigh anchor from Coco's Keeling at Direction Island. We're a little bit sad to leave, but it's also nice to move on. We had a really good time here. So we're heading to Chagos. It's about 1,500 nautical miles, and we expect it to be about 10 to 11 days, or maybe a little bit more than 11. The weather prediction looks good for relatively consistent southeast trade winds that will push us a little bit north, but we're heading basically west with a little bit of northing. And yeah, closer to Chagos, the wind might get a little bit lighter because we are just 5 degrees south of the equator. But hopefully we get good winds. The swell is typical Indian Ocean. There's going to be a bit of swell from the south or southeast, but it will be less on the beam because we don't have to go south this time. So we're expecting about 2.5 to 3 meters swell at about 10-second intervals. So hopefully all goes well and it's a good passage.
Keep an eye on the depth meter, just to see how steep this atoll is. We started at 17 meters, and within 30 seconds we reach over 60, and then too deep to read, which is normally around 150 meters deep. In a couple of miles we'll be over 2,000 meters deep, and this will never cease to amaze me.
As we leave the atoll, we have to change our course and head dead downwind to Chagos. So I prep the preventer line in preparation to get the main up and pole out the Genoa.
up. Everything's working beautifully. It's a bit bumpy, but the intervals aren't that on top of each other, so isn't that close. So it's actually quite nice out here today. Gracias.
We're entering the first night of our passage from Cocos to Chagos, and we had pretty good conditions, little bit wishy-washy at times, but not too bad. Basically dead downwind, sailing wing on wing. We do have 3 reefs in the main, just because we tend to get a bit of weather helm when the main's too big and the Genoa is pulled out. But we're doing almost 7 average, about 6.8 for the last almost 12 hours. So it's good, been good going the first bit. And the food that Jackie made in bulk this morning is really good. Mashed potatoes is included, and that's my favorite, so I'm very happy. First day and night at sea after leaving Cocos kind of went as expected. No major upsets or surprises. We have proper southeast trade winds with about 20 knots, gusting sometimes up to 25 and going down as low as 15. But yeah, the wind is good. The swell is a little bit wishy-washy, so at times we have a cross swell and also a wind swell from behind. So Avanti's stern is all over the place sometimes, and Gandalf struggles a little bit to steer us. But so far he's been doing pretty well. We're just not going in a straight line. But all in all, we're making about 7 knots speed over ground average, and we're still sailing wing on wing. So the wind is just off the port quarter.
Join us next episode as the good weather leaves us and we struggle with the rest of the journey, dodging fishing vessels and trying to stay dry. Please give this video a like and subscribe to join us next week. Thank you to our Patreons for your contributions to our journey, and we look forward to your comments below.